Welcome to Tracking Thoughts with EnZed Design. I'm Helen Young, owner and creative director.
And I'm Peter Williams, designer. Tracking Thoughts is our interview series exploring the unexpected ways design connects to life at large. This episode is a discussion of what drives us besides design. Helen's an avid tennis player.
And Peter, an experienced music producer. Join us as we learn more about each other's passions and the parallels connecting them with our experiences as designers.
I know that you are a very competitive person, at least as far as tennis is concerned. So do you have any parts of your tennis game, whether physical or mental, that you've been working on in particular recently?
Yeah, definitely the weaker part of my game is patience. I'm trying to work on singles, and I've been playing doubles for a long time. And I've played singles before too, but I prefer doubles because it's more fun to have a lot of people on the court and to have a partner that you can kind of strategize with. And then the points are a little shorter, so you can like set them up to where, you know, you serve really well out wide, and then your net person can take it, put it off at an angle, and then you've won the point. With singles, it goes back and forth a lot more. And so you tend to win in singles on somebody else's error more than you do in doubles. So in singles, it's really important to be patient and to keep in a rally and look for your opportunity. In doubles, you kind of create your opportunity more than you do in singles, and you do in both. So I'm learning how to be more patient and more consistent with my ground strokes right now with my lessons. And then the other thing is I've struggled with the whole time I've learned how to play tennis is being like mentally tough where I can finish the match and win it. I've analyzed this a few different ways over the years, and I think that the reason I don't win as much as I could with my skill level is because I want the other person to have fun too.
You're just too nice for a decisive victory.
Yeah, I think a little bit of that, and I think part of that's because, you know, being in a service business, you know, profession, you are always trying to make everybody win. Like you want the client to be happy, and you want the design to work well, and you want the audience to be engaged with it. So it's all about like making everybody happy and it all working. And so to like have to be the winner is a stumbling block for me.
I was kind of surprised when you said patience being a struggling thing, because I thought, well, you know, you founded your own business 20 years ago, and I imagine that being the sole proprietor of basically a one-person business must be very, you know, demanding of patience. But then you talked about creating opportunities in doubles and how that's kind of different from singles. And so maybe that makes sense too. Like you are always in a position to take the initiative as the creative director and founder and owner of your company.
Oh, yeah.
You're not really like depending on other people to, unless it's a client getting back to us about something.
Right.
Other than that, you're not usually depending on someone to.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about it that way. And I think I like, you know, if we're doing an analogy with teams or an analogy with tennis to work, I like working on a team at work. And I think that's why I like doubles too, because I like something that we kind of like build together. Mm-hmm. And with doubles, you know, you kind of talk about who's better at returning on which side, and then playing off of the other one's strength and figuring out what the other people's weakness is. And so I think that relates quite a bit to life in general and to design.
Good. I'm glad that my innocent tennis question turned into a greater insight revealing thing about, about your business.
It was funny. When I first started playing it, I was completely obsessed, and I would watch the Tennis Channel, watch all the time, and I would listen to the commentators and try to pick up stuff from that. And I did, but one of my old family friends was a tennis player for a long, long time, and he and I had a conversation around tennis, and it was how tennis has a lot of life lessons in it. I think a lot of sports do. I think that's why sports in school is important, even though I never participated really in it. I did running and dance and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why it has such a strong hold in schools, is because it teaches you a lot of life lessons that you then can apply to anything.
Yeah, I think even my competitive video game called Super Smash Brothers has taught me some life things, which maybe sounds a little silly to people who aren't used to the idea of video games being like sports, but there's competition, there's personal growth, there's challenges you have to overcome, and I think it poses a lot of the same challenges that any other sport does, especially tennis. Funnily enough, Smash Bros. And tennis are often compared to each other.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I'm sure the similar skill sets in that what you do requires speed, control, sussing out a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sort of a strategy. Same thing, but it's just outside instead of in a box.
Yeah.
That's great. But also, the more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more relaxed you are, the faster and better you can be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like getting your mind into that relaxed state to where you're enjoying what you're doing instead of getting anxious about what maybe the opponent's doing or what you aren't doing well enough and being hard on yourself. Your self-talk has to be either silent or positive.
Yeah. And I have some friends who struggle with that, so I try to be that good force. Like, it's okay, man. Like, you're doing great. Have fun. It's just a game, you know?
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so one of your student projects in design school was a video that documented making music from collected sounds. How do you see music and design intersecting or relating? And did that project shape this view or reveal any new insights about that connection?
So to expound a little bit on what the project was for people listening who might not be familiar, I was tasked with creating a how-to video about a topic of my choosing, as long as the topic was outdoors. And I'm not very outdoorsy, so I was kind of struggling to think of something. But my friend said, Peter, you make music and you do a really good job. And I said, thank you, friend. And she said, what if you made music from sounds that occur outside? And so I thought that was a really great idea, so I went and grabbed my recording device, which is what I'm using right now, by the way, fun fact.
Without its little, like, troll hair.
Yeah, if you watch the video, you'll see some very troll hair looking thing, which serves a purpose, but I'm not going to get into it. But anyway, so I did that, and I recorded sounds from around ASU campus and turned it into a song. And I kind of guided the viewer through my process of doing that. Not of making the music itself, because that's a whole different thing that would take a very long time to explain, but the process of just recording sounds and picking out ones that would be good. So as far as how that relates to graphic design, art design in general, one kind of surface level thing that comes to mind is that when I was recording sounds around campus, there was a pretty limited palette of sounds that I could choose from. In the video, I talk about there being 3 kinds of sounds that I would be looking for, which were percussion, which is, like drum-like sounds, melodic sounds, something that had a pitch that I could then turn into a melody later, and then textural sounds, which is just be kind of ambiance, like birds chirping or something like that. And so I had a very limited toolkit, because when you're around ASU, you hear a lot of the same sounds in different places. Like, you hear people biking a lot, you hear cars kind of driving by, that distinctive swoosh sound, which can be useful. There's not a lot of percussive sounds, so I kind of had to cheat a little bit by like stomping on things and saying, oh, this is a sound I heard, because I stomped on something. But the point that I'm getting to is that there is not a whole lot to choose from, really, at the end of the day. A lot of variations on sounds that were pretty similar. So I had this small toolkit, and I had to think, how can I best use these elements to create something beautiful and maybe meaningful?
So maybe it's like a 1 or 2 color job.
Yeah, it's like a 1 or 2 color job, and you can only use 1 or 2 typefaces or something like that.
It's basically using brand standards.
Yeah, actually. And then, of course, the process of making the video itself was a whole nother thing, where I had to think about like how to best guide the viewer through the process. So I guess that's kind of like wayfinding in a way. I don't really know.
Well, it might be a kind of the video equivalent of, a brochure explaining a process and taking you through it, right?
A little bit. Yeah, any sort of design that would instruct you on something or guide you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Tracking Thoughts with EnZed Design.
Catching the conversation between design and life at large.